I don't hate you.
Right.
I just hate all of the choices that you make, because those are the choices that ass make. That's all.
From clowning 50 Cent for having a head the size of Herman Monster.
You got a head like a square. Only two square-headed men have made it in Hollywood, you and Herman Monster.
To revealing how rappers are really federal informants.
All of the rappers that you know that never been to jail and never got in any trouble with the law, those are federal informants.
Katt Williams has never been the type to let fame water him down or stop him from speaking his truth. Whether he's joking on Shaquille O'Neal, someone he actually calls a friend, or making it clear he's not scared of anybody, Katt keeps that same energy across the board. Even in that moment, he flipped it into comedy, clowning Shaq while reminding everyone that real talk doesn't come with fear attached. And it doesn't stop there. Katt has gone as far as calling out the Bush administration, questioning how they somehow knew more about T.I. than actual foreign threats. Then he shifted gears and put a spotlight on the racial undertones behind Comedy Central roast moments, like Flavor Flav's roast, turning uncomfortable jokes into something much deeper. These raw, unfiltered moments are exactly why Katt is still viewed as one of hip-hop's most fearless and respected comedians. And when he starts throwing shots at names like Sean Diddy Combs or Jermaine Dupri, you already know he's about to shake something up. So get locked in, because these are the moments where Katt really checked the culture. One of his most varied takes came when he drew comparisons between himself and Kendrick Lamar during the Drake beef. When asked about Kendrick's dominant run, Katt broke it down in a way that flipped the whole narrative. Some people called Kendrick's approach hating, especially with lines like, "I hate the way you walk, talk, dress." But Katt made it clear that wasn't hate. It was calculated and intentional. He explained it like Kendrick wasn't attacking the person, but the choices behind the persona, making it hit way deeper than surface-level disses. Katt even admitted he's a fan of both sides, but he kept it real. Going up against Kendrick is like stepping in with a bear. It doesn't matter who you are, you're not walking out the same. And while people assume Dre might get a pass because of who he is, Katt made it clear that wasn't happening. If anything, the spotlight only got harsher. Once Kendrick started questioning his connection to the culture, Katt pointed out that nobody was stepping in to defend Atan. That silence said everything. He even tied it back to Kendrick performing, not like us in Toronto, comparing that boldness to his own fearless style on stage. That's exactly why Katt respects artists who stand on business, no matter the pressure. And speaking of fearlessness, his dynamic with Shaq makes those jokes hit even harder, because when Katt goes in, even on his friends, he doesn't hold back. He straight up roasted Shaq for wanting to play sheriff, turning it into a wild breakdown of why that idea makes zero sense. From joking about Shaq's size making undercover work impossible to flipping it into classic stand-up humor, it was pure Katt direct and impossible to ignore. He can't even shoot baskets, he just can't do it, and that's exactly why Katt keeps talking the way he does. Completely unfiltered and unapologetic. He made it clear he's never been scared of Shaquille O'Neal, even joking that Shaq isn't the toughest one in his own household. According to Katt, it's really Shaq's wife running things, and the way he paints those stories. Completely over the top, but that's what makes it hit. From describing their kids in the wildest way to telling that birthday party story, where he's standing eye to eye with a toddler built like a grown man, Katt turns every moment into comedy chaos without missing a beat. That whole sequence became one of the funniest highlights in his stand-up. But things got even more interesting when 50 Cent entered the picture. During some industry tension, even 50 threw a few shots Katt's way, breaking down how comedians operate like they're untouchable no matter what happens. He even referenced that viral moment involving Katt, suggesting it didn't really damage his reputation at all. If anything, it just proved how resilient he is. But Katt wasn't about to just let that slide. Instead of backing off, he fired right back in classic fashion, flipping the situation into a savage joke about 50 himself. He reminded everyone that he's never had issues with him, but if it goes there, it goes there. Then came that line calling out 50's square-shaped head and comparing him to Herman Munster, one of those moments only Katt could get away with, while still making it funny. And then there's the Comedy Central roast for Flavor Flav, which Katt says took a completely different turn behind the scenes. What looked like a major hip-hop celebration on the surface ended up raising serious red flags for him the deeper he got into it, from being told there was no script, to realizing certain comedians had writers while others didn't. Katt started sensing something wasn't right. By the time rehearsal came around, those suspicions turned into full-blown alarm. No white comics present, no transparency. And when he finally got his hands on the script, he said it was filled with racially charged jokes that crossed the line completely. Comparing it to something straight out of another era, Katt realized the tone was way different from other roasts he'd seen. And the moment that really set him off, the opening line, he was expected to deliver something he clearly wasn't comfortable with. Backstage, he was already heated, tearing through whatever he could get his hands on out of pure frustration. But once the show started, everything moved so fast he barely had time to react before Flav was already being lowered in. And Katt was stuck in a moment that said way more about the industry than it did about comedy. But that was all Katt could even get out in that moment. And you could tell the frustration was real. He admitted he stayed mad the entire show, but not just at the situation, at himself too. Because deep down, he already knew something felt off. But the check had been promised, and in his mind, it was already spent. That put him in a position where he felt stuck, riding it out while everything around him kept getting worse. And when Flavor Flav's kids ended up leaving the audience in tears after hearing those jokes about their father, it hit even harder. Backstage, the energy was tense, everybody feeling like they had just witnessed something bigger than comedy. But then Flav walks in, smiling, celebrating, like none of it even mattered. That moment threw Katt off completely. He couldn't understand how someone could just brush it off like that. And Flav's response. Simpali didn't care what anybody thought, as long as he got paid. That mindset stuck with Katt, but not in a good way. It was one of those moments that really made him question the industry and what people are willing to accept. Then Katt flipped the tone entirely with one of his most relatably infamous stories, this time involving Lil Wayne. He broke down a moment where he got way too high and ended up sitting in his car, emotional, listening to Wayne like it was therapy. The way he described it being a grown man, alone in the driveway, caught up in the music was both hilarious and painfully real. He even joked about how Wayne's voice hits different in that state, turning a regular song into something that'll have you questioning everything. And just when you think it couldn't get any more chaotic, he takes it a step further, talking about getting so high that even playing a simple game system turns into a full disaster. The way he compared weed and activity clashing, leading to him tearing up his own living room, trying to keep up, is classic Katt turning everyday situations into unforgettable comedy. But then things take a sharp turn again when Katt sits down with Shannon Sharpe and drops one of the most talked about interviews of 2024. In that conversation, he didn't just call out Hollywood, he went straight into conspiracy territory, even bringing up the Illuminati and claiming he and Ludacris were once put in the same position for a deal that would change everything. According to Katt, it came down to a choice, two people, one opportunity, and a set of conditions that didn't sit right with him. He suggested that one person took the deal and the other walked away, and he made it very clear which side he believes Ludacris ended up on. He even pushed it further, taking shots at Luda's personal life, implying certain benefits came along with that decision. Of course, Ludacris didn't stay silent. He responded in his own way, dropping bars that made it clear he heard everything but wasn't about to take it too seriously. And when he later addressed it in an interview, he brushed it off, saying he saw it as comedy more than anything else. No real anger, no back and forth escalation, just keeping it moving. But that's what makes moments like this stick. Katt says what most people won't, whether it's comedy, industry, politics, or wild accusations. And even when people laugh, it often, you can't deny, it always gets the conversation going. Things got even more entertaining when the whole situation started getting laughed off publicly. Ludacris didn't seem pressed at all, brushing it off like it was just jokes. Even when the conversation turned to something random like who would win in a foot race, he played along, admitting Katt might actually be fast, but never really taking debate to escalate anything further. But then, just when it seemed like things might cool off, it took another turn. An unexpected voice chimed in from behind bars, and suddenly, the drama had new life. That's when Katt Williams revealed he had his own diss track ready, making it clear he wasn't backing down. The bars were aggressive, direct, and full of that same unfiltered energy, taking shots at Luda, while framing himself as the one really standing on business. It wasn't just comedy anymore. It started sounding personal. And if you know Katt, you know he doesn't stay in one lane for long. He quickly shifted gears back into stand-up mode, delivering one of his most memorable routines in DC, where he went all the way in on the Bush administration. The way he broke it down, pointing out how the government couldn't track down one man for years, but somehow had detailed timelines on T.I.'s every move, had the crowd in tears while still making a sharp point underneath the humor. Then came one of his most layered takes, this time on Kanye West during his sit-down with Shannon Sharpe. Instead of clowning Kanye like most people do, Katt flipped the perspective completely. He questioned why the public labels someone as having mental health issues, then turns around and judges them by normal standards anyway. In his view, that contradiction says more about the audience than the artist. It went even further, suggesting that the same people criticizing Kanye are the ones who helped build him up to that level in the first place, calling him a genius, putting him on a pedestal, and then acting surprised when he moves like he believes it. Katt didn't fully defend or attack him either. Instead, he stayed in that gray area, making it clear he doesn't support or villainize Kanye because, in his words, most people don't even understand what they're reacting to in the first place. He even broke it down with a comparison that made people stop and think, why do we look at someone like Kanye West and expect him to operate like everybody else? In Katt's eyes, that's like judging a basketball player for not scoring hockey goals. It doesn't even make sense. He made it clear Kanye has always been different, even from the beginning. And acting surprised now just shows how people pick and choose when to understand him. Then Katt flipped the focus back on himself, making it clear he knows way more about the industry than people think, and that's exactly why he gets labeled the villain. It's easier for people to paint that narrative than to deal with someone who's never moved dirty, never had scandal follow him, and still refuses to play along. He even challenged the idea that studios don't mess with him, pointing to his track record and saying nobody has ever actually lost money working with him. From there, he leaned deeper into exposing the unspoken rules of Hollywood, suggesting that success in the industry isn't always about talent, but about what you're willing to do to get there. And in his case, he made it clear it's not about what he can't have, it's about what he chooses not to chase. That mindset, he says, is rooted in knowing his worth and staying disciplined, even when opportunities are right in front of him. Raw honesty is exactly what sent the internet into a frenzy, turning this into one of his most talked about moments ever. Because at the end of the day, Katt Williams has built his legacy on saying what others won't, whether it's calling out industry politics, delivering savage roasts, or dropping uncomfortable truths people try to ignore. And no matter who's watching or listening, he's never been the type to compromise just to fit in.